The golden sun hangs low over the sprawling African savanna, casting long shadows across the dusty terrain. In the distance, a young lion cub, no more than a few months old, struggles against the rusty metal wire wrapped tightly around its hind leg. The wire bites deep into the soft flesh, cutting off circulation and causing unbearable pain with every movement. The cub has been trapped for hours now, and its desperate cries echo across the empty landscape, growing weaker with each passing moment. The swelling around the injured leg has become severe. The flesh is turning an angry shade of purple and black, bloated and distended. The cub tries to pull away, thrashing and writhing in agony, but the more it struggles, the deeper the wire cuts into its skin. Blood drips slowly onto the dusty ground, and flies begin to gather around the wound. The cub's breathing is rapid and shallow, its small body trembling with shock and pain. It lies there, exhausted from hours of futile resistance, unable to understand why its body is being punished in such a cruel way. Not far from the struggling cub stands the father lion. He is a magnificent beast, with a dark, full mane that frames his powerful face. His muscles ripple beneath his tawny coat as he paces back and forth, his eyes fixed intently on his suffering offspring. The father's nostrils flare as he takes in the scent of his cub's blood on the wind. His ears twitch with every cry of distress. The bond between father and son is undeniable, and the sight of his helpless cub in such anguish is tearing him apart. The father lion has tried everything he can think of. He has circled the cub repeatedly, examining the wire from every angle, searching for a way to help. He has used his powerful paws to try and break the wire, but the metal refuses to yield. He has attempted to gently pull the cub free, but the wire only digs deeper, causing the cub to scream in agony. The father roars in frustration, a sound so deep and powerful that it seems to shake the very ground beneath him. But no matter what he does, he cannot free his baby. He is strong enough to take down prey many times his own size, to defend his pride against rival males, but he is powerless against this cruel instrument of captivity. The father lion lies down beside his cub, his massive body curved protectively around the small, suffering form. He rests his head near the cub's face, breathing in the familiar scent of his offspring. His tongue reaches out and gently licks the cub's face, a gesture of comfort and reassurance. The cub whimpers and presses closer to its father, seeking solace in his presence. The father's eyes remain open, alert, watching his cub's shallow breathing. He knows something is terribly wrong. He knows that without intervention, his cub will not survive the night. Hours pass. The sun continues its descent toward the horizon, and the temperature begins to drop. The cub's movements become less frequent, less desperate. The shock and pain have exhausted its young body completely. It lies motionless beside its father, barely conscious, barely alive. The father feels the change in his cub's breathing and becomes even more agitated. He stands and paces again, his eyes scanning the horizon frantically, as if searching for help from an unknown source. The father lion knows instinctively that his cub needs more than he can provide. In his own way, the father understands that the wire holding his baby captive requires human intervention to remove. There is a desperation in his movements now, a frantic energy that reflects the urgency of the situation. He returns to the cub and tries once more to free it, carefully this time, trying not to cause additional pain, but still the wire will not budge. As the shadows grow longer and the sky begins to turn shades of orange and purple, a sound breaks through the evening air. It is a mechanical sound, the rumble of an engine approaching from somewhere in the distance. The father lion's head snaps up immediately, his senses alert. His ears swivel toward the sound, tracking its approach. His body tenses, every muscle coiled and ready. He does not know if this sound brings salvation or danger, but he knows he must protect his cub. The vehicle comes into view, a sturdy four-wheel drive rescue truck, moving slowly across the terrain. Inside the vehicle, a team of experienced animal rescuers sits alert and watchful. They have been tracking reports of a trapped animal in this area for the past several hours. One of the rescuers, a man named Marcus who has dedicated his life to saving injured wildlife, peers intently through his binoculars, scanning the landscape. His eyes are trained to spot signs of distress, unusual movements, anything that might indicate an animal in need. Suddenly, Marcus's eyes widen. Through the binoculars, he can see them. The massive father lion, now standing protectively between his cub and the approaching vehicle. The small cub, barely visible beneath the father's bulk, clearly immobilized and in distress. Marcus quickly alerts the driver, and the vehicle slows to a crawl, maintaining a respectful distance from the protective parent. They can see the wire around the cub's leg from even this distance, glinting in the fading light. Marcus steps out of the vehicle with extreme caution. He has worked with wild animals for many years, and he understands the danger he is about to face. A protective parent lion is one of the most dangerous animals on the African continent. The father would die to defend his cub, and he would certainly kill anyone he perceived as a threat to his offspring. Marcus moves slowly, deliberately, keeping his body open and non-threatening, his hands visible. He makes no sudden movements, no aggressive gestures. The father lion notices the human immediately. His eyes lock onto Marcus, and he rises to his full height, his body expanding as the muscles beneath his skin tense. The father's lips pull back, revealing his massive teeth. A deep, rumbling growl emanates from his throat, a sound that carries a clear warning. This human is not welcome here. This human is a threat. The father takes a step forward, positioning himself more firmly between Marcus and his cub. His tail lashes back and forth, cutting through the air like a whip. Marcus stops his approach, respecting the lion's boundary. He understands that rushing forward would only escalate the situation. He speaks softly, using calm, soothing tones, even though he knows the lion cannot understand his words. But his voice carries emotion, intention, and perhaps most importantly, it conveys a lack of threat. Marcus slowly reaches into his bag and removes specialized wire cutters, holding them up so the father lion can see them. Though of course the animal has no understanding of what these tools are or how they might help. The father lion roars, a sound that echoes across the savanna and sends a chill down the spines of everyone in the rescue vehicle. The roar is not just a warning, it is a declaration of his readiness to attack, his willingness to defend his cub with his life. The father takes another step forward, his mane standing on end, making him appear even larger and more formidable than he already is. His eyes are fixed on Marcus with an intensity that suggests he is calculating the best way to strike, the most effective way to eliminate this threat. Marcus does not retreat. Instead, he continues to speak in soft, calm tones, continuing to move slowly and deliberately. Every step takes him closer to the trapped cub, but more importantly, every step brings him closer to confrontation with the father. Marcus knows that he has a narrow window of opportunity. The cub's condition is deteriorating. The longer the wire remains embedded in its flesh, the greater the risk of permanent damage, infection, and ultimately, death. Time is running out, and Marcus must find a way to convince the father lion that he means no harm. The father lion makes a decision. He charges. His massive body hurtles forward, his mane flowing behind him, his mouth open to reveal his massive canine teeth. The sound of his roar fills the air as his powerful legs propel him across the ground with surprising speed for an animal of his size. The rescuers in the vehicle gasp, certain that they are about to witness a tragedy. The father lion is going to kill Marcus, they think. There is no way the human can survive what is about to happen. But Marcus does not run. This is a critical moment, and he understands it. If he runs, if he shows fear, the lion will pursue and the situation will spiral into violence. Instead, Marcus stands his ground, continuing to speak in calm tones, his voice steady despite the massive predator rushing toward him. Marcus raises his hands slowly, keeping them visible, showing that he is not reaching for a weapon. In this moment, Marcus is risking everything. His life hangs in the balance, dependent entirely on the choices of a wild animal driven by parental instinct and protective fury. The father lion skids to a halt just meters away from Marcus. The moment stretches, suspended in time. The father's breath comes in heavy snorts, his nostrils flared wide, his eyes boring into Marcus, trying to determine if this human is a true threat or if there might be something else to understand here. The tension is almost unbearable. Every muscle in the father's body is coiled and ready, prepared to strike at the slightest provocation. The other rescuers are ready to act, ready to create a distraction if needed, but they know that any intervention could escalate the situation further. Then, from behind the father lion, comes a sound that changes everything. It is the cub, crying out in pain, a desperate plaintive wail that pierces through the tense standoff. The cub's distress signal reaches the father's ears, and for just a moment, the father lion's attention is divided. His eyes flick back toward his suffering offspring, and in that moment of divided focus, something shifts in his understanding. The father can see his cub's condition, can recognize the urgency of the situation. This human is not here to harm. The human is here because the cub needs help that the father cannot provide. The father lioness stance shifts, just barely, but enough to signal a change in his assessment of the situation. He does not move away from his cub, but he also does not advance further toward Marcus. The massive predator remains coiled and ready, his protective instincts still fully engaged, but now there is a hesitation, a moment of consideration that was not there before. The father's eyes move between Marcus and his cub repeatedly, as if trying to make a decision that goes against every fiber of his being, every instinct honed by thousands of years of evolution. Marcus recognizes this critical moment. He knows that the father lion is at a crossroads, caught between his natural suspicion of humans and his desperate desire to help his suffering offspring. Marcus continues to speak in those low, soothing tones, never making any sudden movements, never reaching toward the lion or making any gesture that could be interpreted as aggressive. Marcus takes a single step to the side, positioning himself at an angle rather than directly facing the father lion. This small change in body language conveys a lack of direct threat, a willingness to move around rather than through the protective parent. The father lion watches this movement with laser-focused intensity. His massive head swivels, tracking Marcus's position. The tension in the air is suffocating, almost visible in the way it seems to shimmer in the fading light. The father's tail continues to lash, but the rhythm has changed, becoming less frantic and more deliberate. His breathing, which had been rapid and aggressive, begins to settle into a more measured pattern. The father is still ready to attack at any moment, but he is no longer actively charging. He is waiting, observing, trying to understand this human's true intentions. Marcus takes another step, this time moving closer to the trapped cub. The father lion tenses immediately, but he does not charge again. Instead, he moves to position himself between Marcus and his cub, his body angled in a way that allows him to protect his offspring while also keeping Marcus within his line of sight. It is a compromise of sorts, a way for the father to maintain control while also acknowledging that something needs to happen here. The father's eyes never leave Marcus for a single moment, watching for any sign of betrayal, any indication that this human means harm to his baby. Marcus reaches the cub slowly, his movements deliberate and calm. The young lion is in terrible condition. The wire has cut so deeply into the flesh of its hind leg that the surrounding tissue is severely swollen and bruised. The limb below the wire is cool to the touch and pale in color, indicating that the circulation has been severely compromised. The cub is semi-conscious, barely aware of Marcus's presence, its young body exhausted from hours of pain and struggle. The smell of infection is already present, a sign that despite how recently the cub became trapped, complications are already beginning. Marcus carefully examines the wire, assessing the best way to proceed. The wire is wrapped around the leg multiple times, and it is pulled tight, embedded deep in the flesh. Simply cutting through it will not be enough. Once the wire is cut, the pressure will be released and blood will begin to flow back into the leg, but the process needs to be managed carefully to prevent the cub from going into shock. Marcus reaches slowly into his bag and removes the specialized wire cutters along with several other tools and medical supplies. The father lion's body goes rigid as soon as he sees Marcus reaching for tools. A low, rumbling growl emanates from deep within the father's chest, a sound so intense that Marcus can feel the vibrations in his own body. The father takes a step closer, clearly viewing the tools as a potential threat to his cub. Marcus freezes mid-motion, understanding that any further movement could provoke an attack. The moment hangs suspended once more, and Marcus realizes that he is balanced on a knife's edge between success and disaster. Seconds tick by like hours. The sun continues its descent toward the horizon, and the shadows grow longer and deeper. The temperature drops further, and the sky begins to take on deeper shades of orange and purple. The other rescuers in the vehicle sit in tense silence, their hands ready to act if needed, but knowing that any intervention from them could cause the father lion to attack Marcus without hesitation. They are observers in this dance between human and animal, witnesses to a negotiation that transcends species and language. Then the cub cries out again, more weakly this time, its pain evident in every sound. The cry seems to pierce through the father's defenses, his protective fury, his animal instincts. The father lion's eyes move from Marcus to his cub, watching as the small body trembles with pain and cold. The father can see his offspring deteriorating, can feel the life slowly draining from his baby. In this moment, the father lion makes a choice that is almost incomprehensible for a wild animal driven by survival and protection. He steps back just slightly, just enough to give Marcus room to work. Marcus does not hesitate. He understands that this window of opportunity is narrow and could close at any moment. He positions the wire cutters carefully, identifying the best point to apply pressure and cut through the metal. The wire is thick and stubborn, and cutting through it will require significant force. Marcus takes a breath and begins to cut. The effort is intense, his arm muscles straining with the exertion, his focus absolute. Beneath his hands, he can feel the resistance of the metal, the unwillingness of the wire to surrender its grip on the cub's leg. The father lion watches this process intently, his body quivering with the effort of restraint. Every instinct is screaming at him to attack, to protect his cub from this human with his tools and his strange methods. But something else is stronger, something deeper than instinct. The father can see that the human is trying to help, the gentle way Marcus is working, the careful attention to detail, the obvious concern in every movement all combine to send a message that transcends words. This human is not here to harm, the human is here to save. Marcus cuts through the first section of wire. The resistance suddenly gives way, and the tension in the wire shifts. A small portion of the metal coil becomes loose, but the cub's leg is still trapped beneath multiple layers. Marcus repositions the cutters and begins to cut through the second section of wire. This section is equally stubborn, equally resistant to his efforts. Sweat beads on Marcus's forehead despite the cooling temperature. His hands are steady, but his heart is pounding so hard he can hear the blood rushing in his ears. The father lion takes another step closer, and for a moment, Marcus thinks this is it. This is when the protective parent will finally lose patience and attack. But the father's movement is not aggressive. Instead, the massive lion lowers his body, lying down on the ground just meters away from Marcus and his cub. The father's head rests on his paws, his eyes still open and watching, but his posture now conveys something different. It conveys resignation, acceptance, and perhaps even trust. The father lion is allowing the rescue to happen. He is surrendering his protective control because he understands that his cub's survival depends on it. Marcus feels the shift in energy and continues his work with renewed focus. He cuts through another section of wire, and another. Each cut brings the moment of freedom closer. The cub remains semi-conscious throughout the process, barely aware of what is happening, its young mind locked in a haze of pain and shock. Marcus works methodically, carefully, aware that one mistake, one slip of the cutters, could cause additional damage to the already injured limb. Finally, after what feels like an eternity but has only been minutes, the last section of wire gives way. The coil of metal falls to the ground, its grip on the cub's leg finally broken. For the first time in hours, the cub's leg is free. But Marcus is not finished. He immediately begins to assess the damage, to check the circulation returning to the limb, to prevent the cub from going into shock. He works quickly but carefully, his trained hands moving with professional precision. The father lioness' head lifts slightly as he senses the change. His cub's leg has been released from its cruel captivity. The father watches as Marcus examines the injured limb, checking for response, for signs of life returning to the once trapped appendage. The father's body language, which had been tense and rigid, begins to relax very slightly. He does not move from his protective position, but the urgency seems to have shifted from threat to concern for his offspring. Marcus retrieves medical supplies from his bag, beginning the process of treating the wound. The flesh is badly damaged, and there is a real risk of infection. Marcus applies antiseptic to the wound carefully, watching the cub's reactions. The young lion barely responds, its body too exhausted, too much in shock to register additional pain. Marcus wraps the leg carefully in protective bandaging, securing it in a way that will protect the injury while still allowing for healing and proper circulation. The father lion watches every movement of this process with unwavering attention. His eyes track Marcus's hands as they move across his cub's body. His nostrils flare, taking in new scents, perhaps trying to determine if the bandaging is safe, if this human's methods will truly help his offspring. The massive predator remains still, almost impossibly patient, a testament to the depth of his love for his cub and his willingness to accept help, even from a human, even when every instinct screams at him to be suspicious. As Marcus finishes the initial treatment, he slowly stands and backs away from the cub, giving the father space. The lion rises to his feet and immediately moves to his offspring, lowering his massive head to sniff and examine the treated leg. The father's tongue reaches out and gently licks the bandaging, a gesture of comfort and reassurance. The cub whimpers softly, and the father responds with a low, gentle rumble, a sound so different from the roars and growls of just minutes before. Marcus speaks softly to the father, explaining what he has done, what happens next, even though he knows the lion cannot understand his words. But perhaps the tone matters. Perhaps the gentle intention behind the words carries weight regardless of language. Marcus explains that the cub needs to be taken to the rescue center, where it can receive proper veterinary care, antibiotics to prevent infection, fluids to restore its hydration, and rest to allow for healing. The father lion turns to face Marcus once more, and in that moment, something extraordinary happens. The massive predator, wild and dangerous, product of millions of years of evolution as a fearless apex predator, steps forward and touches his nose gently to Marcus's chest. It is a gesture of gratitude, of acknowledgement, of understanding that this human has saved his cub's life. The contact lasts only moments, but in those moments, an invisible bond forms between human and animal, between protector and protected, between species that should be enemies, but in this moment are allies. Marcus stands frozen, barely daring to breathe, aware of the profound significance of this moment. The other rescuers in the vehicle watch in amazement, unable to believe what they are witnessing. The father lion, one of the most dangerous animals on Earth, is making peace with the human who has come to save his offspring. It is a moment that transcends the ordinary, that speaks to something deeper than instinct, something that suggests that even wild animals possess an understanding of help, of care, of the human capacity for compassion. The father lion steps back, his massive form once again positioning itself protectively over his cub. But now the energy is different. The aggression has transformed into something else entirely, a cautious acceptance, a willingness to allow the rescue process to continue. Marcus moves slowly toward the vehicle, maintaining constant eye contact with the father, ensuring that his movements remain non-threatening and deliberate. The father's eyes follow every step, tracking the human's progress, but there is no longer the murderous intent that was present just minutes before. The rescuers in the vehicle have already prepared a special transport crate, padded and designed to minimize stress on injured animals. It is large enough to accommodate both the father lion and his cub, should they choose to enter together. The team understands that separating the two animals at this critical juncture could cause the father to become aggressive once more, potentially undoing all of the progress that Marcus has made. The bond between parent and offspring is too strong, and the father's emotional state is too fragile for such a separation. Marcus returns to the father and cub with one of his teammates, a woman named Dr. Sarah, who specializes in wildlife medicine and animal behavior. She moves with the same careful deliberation as Marcus, her body language equally non-threatening. She carries a specialized transport case designed for large predators, and she sets it down several meters away from the father lion, giving the animal space to make his own decision about what happens next. The father lion watches this new development with renewed wariness. A second human is always more complicated, always more threatening than one. The father's posture stiffens slightly, and a low rumble begins in his throat once more. But Dr. Sarah remains calm and patient, sitting down on the ground at a distance, making herself smaller and less threatening. She speaks softly, just as Marcus did, using gentle tones that convey calm and purpose rather than threat. Time seems to move differently now. The sun has dipped below the horizon, and the sky has transformed into a canvas of deep purples and blues, with streaks of orange and gold still visible along the western edge. The temperature continues to drop, and a cool breeze begins to sweep across the savanna. The cub shivers, clearly cold and in shock from its ordeal. The father feels this tremor and pulls his body closer to his offspring, using his own warmth to help regulate the cub's body temperature. The paternal instinct is now working in harmony with the rescue efforts rather than against them. Dr. Sarah observes the father's behavior and makes a decision. She slowly reaches into her medical bag and removes a thermal blanket, a lightweight but highly effective tool for preventing shock in animals. She holds it up so the father can see it, giving him time to process what he is looking at. Then, very slowly, she stands and approaches, moving at a pace that gives the father every opportunity to object or attack if he chooses to do so. The father lion does not attack. Instead, he watches as Dr. Sarah gently places the thermal blanket over his cub, covering the small body to help maintain its core temperature. She works quickly but without any sense of rush, her movements precise and professional. She avoids making direct eye contact with the father, understanding that constant staring can be interpreted as a threat by wild animals. Instead, she focuses on the task at hand, her attention apparently entirely on the cub's welfare. Once the blanket is in place, Dr. Sarah retreats several meters and sits down once more on the ground. She does not try to rush the process. She knows that the father lion needs time to process what has happened, time to adjust to this new dynamic where humans are present and helping rather than harming. The minutes tick by slowly, each one feeling like an eternity in the tense evening air. The stars begin to appear in the darkening sky, one by one, as if witnessing this extraordinary encounter between man and beast. Marcus approaches the transport crate and opens one end, creating an entrance that is low to the ground and easy for the lions to access. He places several pieces of food inside, fresh meat that has been prepared to be as appetizing as possible. The smell of the food drifts across the evening air, reaching the father lion's sensitive nostrils. The father's ears perk up slightly. He has not eaten since his cub became trapped, too focused on his offspring's suffering to think about his own hunger. But now, driven by both hunger and the knowledge that his cub needs strength to survive, the father considers the offering. The father lion stands, careful not to disturb his cub too much. The young animal is now partially wrapped in the thermal blanket, its eyes barely open, its breathing shallow and labored. The father lowers his massive head and sniffs at the crate, investigating the scent of the food within. His tongue flicks out, tasting the air, assessing the safety of this offering. Behind him, his cub whimpers softly, a pitiful sound that seems to pull at something deep within the father's being. The father makes a decision. With surprising gentleness for such a large animal, the father carefully lowers himself into the transport crate, his massive body folding to fit within the space. Once inside, he positions himself in a way that allows his cub to remain close to him, protected by his bulk. The cub, understanding at some deep level that its father is ensuring their continued togetherness, huddles against the father's warm body, seeking comfort and security. Marcus and Dr. Sarah move carefully but quickly now, aware that the window of opportunity could close at any moment. They gently slide the crate's door closed, securing it carefully, but not locking it in a way that could trigger the father's protective instincts. The father lion does not resist. He is exhausted, emotionally and physically drained from the hours of worry and protective vigilance. The safety of his cub is now assured, and the father seems to understand this at some fundamental level. The team works together to carefully load the transport crate onto the rescue vehicle. The process is delicate and requires constant attention to ensure that no sudden movements or jarring actions disturb the animals inside. Marcus and Dr. Sarah communicate through subtle signals and quiet words, coordinating their efforts with the precision of a team that has worked together many times before. The other rescuers stand ready to assist, their eyes never leaving the transport crate, ready to respond immediately if anything goes wrong. As the crate is secured within the vehicle, Marcus takes a moment to observe the father lion through a small ventilation window in the crate. The massive predator's eyes are closed, but his breathing is steady and calm. His body is curled protectively around his cub, and the young animal's breathing has also become more regular. The thermal blanket continues to do its work, maintaining the cub's core temperature and helping to prevent shock. It is a scene of profound peace after hours of tension and danger. The vehicle begins to move slowly across the savanna, carefully navigating the rough terrain to avoid unnecessary jostling of the transport crate. Inside, the father lion remains still, his body acting as a living barrier between his cub and the outside world. The cub has drifted into something approaching sleep, its small body exhausted from the ordeal. The father's eyes open occasionally, checking on his offspring, reassuring himself that his cub is still breathing, still alive, still close beside him. The journey to the rescue center takes several hours. The landscape gradually transitions from the open savanna to areas with more vegetation, then to structures and other signs of human civilization. The father lion remains alert throughout the journey, his eyes opening more frequently as the environment becomes less familiar. But he does not become aggressive. Perhaps he senses that his cub is receiving the help it desperately needs. Perhaps he understands, in whatever way that wild animals can understand, that the humans in this vehicle are not a threat, but allies in the fight to save his offspring's life. When the vehicle finally arrives at the rescue center, a state-of-the-art facility designed specifically for treating injured and sick wildlife, a team of veterinary specialists is waiting. They have been alerted to the situation and are prepared to provide immediate and comprehensive medical care. They approach the transport crate with the same cautious respect that Marcus and Dr. Sarah have shown throughout the rescue. Experience has taught them that even wild animals can sense the difference between genuine care and indifference, between those who wish to help and those who view them as mere objects to be processed. The veterinary team consults with Marcus and Dr. Sarah, learning every detail about the cub's condition, the nature of the injury, the timeline of the entrapment, and the father's behavior throughout the rescue. They examine the father lion through the crate, assessing his condition as well. While the cub is the primary concern, the father's health is also important. The stress and strain of the past hours have taken a toll on the massive predator, and his body needs rest and recuperation just as much as his offspring's does. The decision is made to allow the father and cub to remain together during the initial recovery period. A specially prepared enclosure has been set up, designed to provide comfort and security for both animals while still allowing the veterinary team full access for treatment and monitoring. It is a large naturalistic space with several areas where the lions can retreat and seek privacy if needed, but open enough that the medical staff can observe and treat the cub without unnecessary stress to either animal. As the transport crate is carefully opened within this enclosure, the father lion emerges slowly, his massive form stretching after the confinement of the vehicle. He immediately turns his attention to his cub, sniffing and examining the young animal with gentle touches of his nose and tongue. The cub, despite its injuries and exhaustion, shows signs of being comforted by its father's presence. The bond between them remains unbroken, strengthened if anything by the trauma they have shared. The veterinary team begins their initial assessment of the cub's leg. The wound is cleaned more thoroughly now, the necrotic tissue carefully debrided to prevent infection. X-rays are taken to ensure that there are no fractures or other hidden injuries beneath the surface. Blood work is drawn to check for signs of infection, shock, or other complications. Fluids are administered intravenously to help restore the cub's hydration and to provide essential nutrients and medications. It is clear that the young animal has a long road to recovery ahead, but the immediate danger has been averted. The father lion does not interfere with any of this treatment. He watches intently, his eyes tracking every movement of the medical staff, but he does not resist or attack. Instead, he seems to understand that these humans are continuing the work that Marcus began, continuing the mission to save his cub's life. The father positions himself where he can be close to his offspring, providing comfort and security through his mere presence. His steady, powerful body becomes an anchor for the cub, a refuge of safety in the midst of frightening medical procedures and strange environments. As night falls completely and the rescue center settles into a quieter rhythm, the father lion finally lies down beside his resting cub. The young animal is sleeping now, sedated by pain medication, but also by the simple exhaustion of its ordeal. The cub's breathing is more regular and stronger than it has been in hours. The bandaging on its leg is clean and properly applied, and already the swelling has begun to reduce slightly as circulation to the limb improves. The father rests his massive head near his cub's face, their bodies touching, their bond unbreakable. Marcus stands outside the enclosure, watching this scene through the clear plexiglass barrier. He is smiling, despite his exhaustion, despite the hours of tension and danger he has endured. Dr. Sarah stands beside him, her hand on his shoulder. They do not need to speak. The moment speaks for itself. The impossible has been accomplished. A wild animal, driven by every instinct to protect and defend, has allowed humans to save his offspring's life. Trust has been built across a chasm that most would have said was uncrossable. And in the quiet moments of the night, with the father lion and his cub resting peacefully together, the true meaning of compassion and the power of love becomes evident. The first rays of sunlight filter through the enclosure windows as dawn breaks over the rescue center. The father lion's eyes open as the light touches his face, his senses alert to the new day, even in his state of exhaustion. His first action is to check on his cub, to verify that his offspring has survived the night, that the small body beside him is still breathing, still alive. The cub remains in a state of medicated sleep, its body relaxed and peaceful, undisturbed by the injuries that caused it such agony just hours before. One of the veterinary technicians, a young man named Thomas, who specializes in predator care, enters the enclosure carefully carrying fresh water and food for the father lion. The father's posture immediately becomes alert, but there is no aggression in his stance. He has learned through the night that these humans mean no harm to his cub. He watches as Thomas places the water and food in designated areas, maintaining a respectful distance from both the lion and his offspring. The father's ears swivel toward the sound of the water being poured, and his nostrils flare, catching the scent of the fresh meat offered. Thomas moves carefully toward the cub, his movements slow and deliberate. He carries medical supplies and instruments to check on the young animal's vital signs and to assess the healing progress of the wounded leg. The father lion watches this approach with evident tension, but he does not intervene. Instead, he shifts his body slightly, positioning himself where he can see Thomas's actions clearly, where he can monitor everything that happens to his offspring. It is a delicate dance of trust and protection, of allowing necessary medical care while maintaining vigilant guardianship. Thomas begins his examination with gentle, practiced touches. He checks the cub's heart rate using a stethoscope, listens to its breathing, and carefully palpates the injured leg to assess the level of swelling and the warmth of the tissue. The cub stirs slightly, but remains mostly asleep, the medication keeping it in a state of therapeutic slumber. Thomas documents everything he observes, noting the improvements that have already begun and the areas that still require careful monitoring. After completing his assessment, he carefully administers additional pain medication and an antibiotic injection to prevent infection. Throughout this process, the father lion remains a silent observer, his trust in the rescue team now evident in his measured responses. Thomas finishes his work and carefully backs away from the cub, giving the father space. The massive predator immediately moves closer to his offspring, his nose touching the cub's face in a gesture of reassurance and love. The cub's eyes flutter open briefly, and though it does not fully wake, the young animal seems to sense its father's presence and draws comfort from it. Over the following days, a remarkable transformation begins to take place within the rescue center's enclosure. The cub's condition steadily improves. The swelling in the injured leg continues to reduce as blood flow is fully restored and the tissue begins its healing process. The necrotic flesh is carefully managed, with the medical team removing dead tissue and monitoring for any signs of infection. The antibiotic regimen appears to be working effectively, and despite the severity of the initial injury, the cub shows no signs of developing sepsis or other life-threatening complications. The father lioness behavior throughout this recovery period is nothing short of extraordinary. He refuses to leave his cub's side for more than a few minutes at a time. He eats when food is provided, but only after ensuring that his offspring is resting comfortably. He drinks water and accepts the care of the veterinary staff with a patience and acceptance that seems almost unnatural for a wild predator. It is as if the father understands that his cooperation is essential to his cub's survival, that his presence and behavior directly impact whether his offspring will live or die. 1 week after the initial rescue, Marcus returns to the rescue center to check on the progress of both animals. He approaches the enclosure and is immediately struck by the visible improvement in the cub's condition. The young animal is now awake more frequently, its eyes alert and aware. It has begun to move around the enclosure in short, careful steps, testing its injured leg with obvious caution. The bandaging has been changed several times, and the wound beneath is beginning to show the pink, healthy tissue of new growth. The father lion approaches Marcus at the plexiglass barrier, and for a moment, the human is transported back to that moment on the savanna, when the massive predator had touched his nose to his chest in a gesture of gratitude. The father's eyes are clear and intelligent, filled with something that Marcus can only interpret as recognition and thanks. Marcus places his hand on the glass, and though the barrier prevents physical contact, the emotional connection across that simple pane of material is profound and undeniable. Dr. Sarah joins Marcus at the enclosure, carrying a tablet with detailed medical reports and recovery projections. She reviews the data with Marcus, her tone professional but warm. The cub's recovery is proceeding even better than expected. The tissue regeneration is occurring at a faster rate than typical for such severe injuries. The antibiotic treatment has been completely successful in preventing infection. The pain levels have decreased significantly, and the cub is beginning to show interest in food and activity rather than simply resting and recovering. However, Dr. Sarah's expression becomes more serious as she discusses the long-term implications of the injury. The cub will never regain completely normal function in the injured leg. Some permanent nerve damage has occurred, and there will likely always be a slight limp, a subtle imperfection in the young animal's gait. But this imperfection will not prevent the cub from living a full and healthy life. With time and rehabilitation, the young lion will be able to hunt, to run, to participate in all the activities that define a lion's existence in the wild. The question that now faces the rescue team is more complex and more philosophically challenging than simply saving the cub's life. The father and cub came from the wild, from the open savanna where they hunted and survived as nature intended. Now that the cub has been rescued and treated, now that it has received human medical care and intervention, can it be safely returned to the wild? Will the father accept his offspring back into that harsh environment, knowing that humans have interfered with the natural order? Or has the rescue process fundamentally altered the relationship between these wild animals and the human world? Marcus and Dr. Sarah engage in detailed discussions with the rescue center's director and the wildlife conservation experts on staff. They review video footage of the father's behavior during the rescue, discussing what it reveals about the animal's capacity for understanding and adaptation. They examine the cub's medical records, assessing whether the young animal has the physical capability to survive and thrive in the wild despite its injury. They consider the ethical implications of keeping wild animals in captivity versus the potential dangers of releasing them back into an environment that injured one of them so severely in the first place. After extensive consultation and careful deliberation, a decision is made. The father and cub will be released back into the wild, but not to the location where the cub became trapped. Instead, they will be transported to a protected wildlife reserve, an area with less human activity, fewer hazards like abandoned wire and traps, and better monitoring by conservation rangers who can track their progress and intervene if necessary. The reserve provides the safety and protection that the wild savanna cannot guarantee, while still allowing the lions to live in their natural habitat, to hunt and roam and exist as wild animals rather than as captive subjects. 2 weeks after the initial rescue, the father and cub are deemed ready for release. The cub is walking on all 4 legs now, with only a slight hesitation in its gait as it favors the injured limb. The young animal's strength has returned, and it shows playful energy, pouncing and wrestling with its father in a way that suggests the bond between them remains unbroken and strong. The father lion has maintained his vigil throughout the recovery period, and his protective instincts remain as fierce as ever. But those instincts have also been tempered by his understanding that humans can be allies, can be sources of help and healing rather than simply threats to be feared and avoided. The transport to the protected reserve takes several hours, and the father and cub remain calm throughout the journey. They have become accustomed to vehicle travel, to the presence of humans, to the handling and care that has become part of their existence over the past 2 weeks. But there is also a palpable sense of anticipation, as if both animals understand that something significant is about to happen, that their lives are about to change once more. When the transport crate is finally opened in a remote section of the protected reserve, far from human habitation and development, the father lion steps out first. His massive body stretches in the sunlight, and his nostrils flare as he takes in the sense of this new environment. Behind him, his cub emerges cautiously, its young eyes wide as it takes in the vastness of the landscape before them. The open savanna stretches in all directions, golden grasses swaying in the gentle breeze, acacia trees dotting the horizon, the sky vast and limitless overhead. For a moment, both animals stand motionless, as if processing the reality of their return to the wild. Then the father lion lets out a roar, a sound that echoes across the landscape, a declaration of his presence and his strength. The roar is answered moments later by distant calls of other wildlife, the sounds of the savanna acknowledging the arrival of one of its apex predators. The father turns to his cub and touches his nose to the young animal's face, a gesture that seems almost ceremonial in its significance. Together, father and cub begin to move across the savanna, their forms gradually receding into the distance until they become small silhouettes against the vast landscape. The conservation team watches from a distance, recording the animal's behavior, noting the smooth coordination between father and offspring, the apparent comfort of the cub on its injured leg as it walks beside its parent. Within days, the monitoring equipment installed on both animals will allow the team to track their movements and progress from afar. Marcus stands beside Dr. Sarah as they watch the father and cub disappear into the golden grasses. Both humans are quiet, reflective, aware that they are witnessing the culmination of an extraordinary journey. The impossible has been accomplished. A wild animal, driven by protective fury and survival instinct, has allowed humans into his world, has permitted intervention, has trusted that his cub would be returned to him healthy and whole. And now, released back into the wild, the father and cub face the future together, their bond strengthened by the trauma they survived and the compassion they received. The sun continues its arc across the sky, and the sounds of the savanna embrace the departing lions. Somewhere in those golden grasses, the father's protective vigilance continues, his love for his offspring undiminished by their ordeal. The cub learns from its father, inheriting not just the strength and instincts necessary to survive in the wild, but also the knowledge that humans can be something more than threats, that compassion exists across species boundaries, that love transcends the barriers of evolution and nature. As evening approaches and shadows lengthen across the reserve, the monitoring equipment confirms that the father and cub have settled into a resting position several kilometers from their release point. They are safe, they are together, they are home. The rescue that began with a desperate struggle on the savanna has evolved into something far more profound, a testament to the power of compassion, the capacity for understanding between species, and the unbreakable bonds of family that transcend all barriers. The story of the father lion and his cub becomes more than just a rescue. It becomes a reflection of the best of what humans can be, not conquerors of nature, but guardians of it. Not superior to wild animals, but partners in ensuring their survival and well-being. The father lion watches over his cub as darkness falls, and in his steady vigilance and unwavering protection, the full circle of this extraordinary journey is complete. From the moment of desperate entrapment on the savanna to this peaceful evening in the protected reserve, the journey has been one of transformation, not just for the lion cub whose life was saved, but for all who witnessed it, who participated in it. and who are forever changed by the experience of witnessing the profound connection between a parent and child that transcends all species and boundaries.